Okay, thank you.
That's a big green. Good evening. Today is Monday, January 9th, special session of the Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago. The time is 6:04. The place is the Administration Building, 1401 East, 144th Street, East Chicago, Indiana, 46312, via live stream as well. And you're able to get that capture at www.secek12.in.us. This is a meeting of the School Board in public for the purpose of conducting the School Board Corporation business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Present.
Trustee Smith?
Present.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Present.
Trustee Gibson King?
Present.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Present. All right. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so the next item is 3.01, and that is the approval of the agenda. First, I'd like to ask the audience for any comments or questions that they may have. Portion of accepting the agenda, yes. Hear none, do I hear a motion from the board?
Mr. President, I move for approval.
Motion made by Trustee Gomez,
Second.
second by Trustee Smith. Any discussions?
I have a couple of questions.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
The first item I have is under 5.02. There are a couple of start dates that are effective 1/3/2023, 1/4. So I don't know if you want me to go on record of the doc number. So it says Doc 3193, they started on 1/3/2023. The other item is 3189, starting on 1/4/2023. Item 3187, starting on 1/4/2023. 3188, starting on 1/4/23. And those items. My question is, process-wise, I thought you'd have to receive a board approval prior to working. We tabled this agenda item last meeting, so I just want to make sure that this is actually wrong and that the start date, they did not start, and the start date would actually be as of today.
Trustee Harris, yes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry,
so
Attorney
just so-
Harris.
Yeah, thank you. Just so procedurally we stay on track, in order to address any issues you might have with any of the particular agenda items, including the current consent agenda, old consent agenda, whatever it may be, we need approval of this overall agenda, and then once we get to the consent agenda section, we can make those comments, and if there needs to be any changes or whatever it may be, the board can take action at that time. But for now, just to get to the point of having a discussion, we need to get an approval of the overall agenda.
Okay, so now I'll go to my second part, since I know it has to do with agenda items that possibly need to be removed. I just want to make sure, last week we ended up tabling the agenda item because our trustee, Patty Gibson King, did not get information in regards to certain items. So I just want to make sure that for item 6.04 and 6.05, that she received proper notification and information. The previous board actually had an executive session in regards to this, so we can know exactly where funding came from for the current year, as well as how it will transpire after that. And it also gave us a reason as to why we had these two items, brand-new jobs, brought to the board. So I don't know if that actually was done or not. So if not, I would like to make sure to at least table item 6.04 and 6.05 until the next agenda. So if the trustee could answer that, to make sure you received the proper information.
Mr. President,
1 second, is that a form of a motion on your part, Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Well, I'm asking if she received information. If she did not, then I think we should table the motion to the next meeting so she could receive proper information. I thought we were going to discuss it at executive session, but apparently that didn't happen. So if she didn't receive info, then I say we table it as we did last week.
Okay. At this point, I'm gonna defer to Superintendent. Go ahead.
I can tell you that prior to every board meeting, as a superintendent, I call every single individual and ask them if they have concerns on any portion of the agenda. We did get all the information out to all board members. I did call each individual board member and make sure that they understood all portions of the agenda. So the individuals you're talking about, the trustee, I did make a phone call to her.
No, I understand, but this is a unique situation because it's a brand-new position that's added on. So that's why we have specific executive sessions to discuss. So, I mean, I just want to, if she, like she stated in her last meeting, she's here to learn. So I think we should show her exactly how it's supposed to work.
Mr. President,
Trustee Gomez?
I believe this falls in the same venue that Attorney Harris mentioned. We can address that as we get to that point. Right now, the motion is to approve the agenda.
Okay. Is there any discussions? Any other discussions?
But this is a proper time to remove it if she would like. It's up to you, Patty. I just want to be able to give you that. Would
Hearing
you like to
none?
move forward if you're okay?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay,
That's what I do. Make a
Okay,
motion to approve
there is a
the agenda.
motion, I believe there is a motion in a
There's a
second.
second.
Okay, I'll second it then.
There's already a second.
Okay.
So I'm assuming you're okay with the agenda?
Yes.
As is, okay. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. Madam Secretary, roll call?
Roll call. Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith? Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Yes.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. Okay, next on the agenda is the, so 1 second here. Okay, this is the appointment of legislative committee. This is 4.01. I've actually moved this for today's meeting because I wanted to sort of get an understanding as well as to see if the whole board can be a part of this committee. Attorney Harris.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background for the board and for the public. Trustee Rodriguez had an idea that he brought forward at our last meeting, which is a special meeting regarding this legislative committee in particular. As board chair, he can appoint these committees, and typically, the legislative committee is not comprised of the entire board. I believe it was your thought that you wanted to have all the board members participate in the committee, just because the legislative issues are so important and everyone can have some feedback. I reached out to the state and asked them for their thoughts on that. It was a unique situation. They had not seen that before. It seemed as though what you were describing is somewhat of an ad hoc committee, and that's fine. It's okay to have an ad hoc committee. The state didn't take any issue with it, with all board members participating in it. The only caveat to that would be to ensure we're not violating the open door law at all. Those would have to be public meetings. So whenever you did have a meeting of the legislative committee, it would have to be made public. And then I guess you would have some work to do in determining what roles people would play on the committee, whether people would participate for information purposes, if there'd be still a designated point of contact with the state. You know, there'd be some things that you need to discuss and determine in order to make that happen. But it is something unique, but there isn't anything wrong with it.
Okay. And for information purposes, I will chair that committee and making sure that information gets to all the board members. All right. Let's go, okay, that does have to be a form of a motion. Let's go to 5.01. I'm sorry, yeah, 5.01? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Number 5 on the consent agenda, Attorney Harris.
So when we had our last special meeting, the consent agenda for that meeting was tabled. And just so we're procedurally all on the same page of what should or should not happen, if any of those items from the prior consent agenda if there's a desire of any of the trustees to take action on those, there needs to be a motion and a second to remove the old consent agenda from the table, which where it currently is, in order that the board can take some action going forward, whatever it may be. So if there's any questions, I'll answer them.
Okay. So at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion, because obviously this is a tabled item, correct?
Yes.
So I'm going to entertain a motion to remove the consent agenda from the table to bring to today's meeting.
So moved, Mr. President.
Okay. Trustee Gomez makes the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second made by Trustee Gibson King. Any discussions? Okay, Madam Secretary, roll call?
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Let me just, before I answer that, we are just approving the consent agenda as a whole.
No, you're not even actually approving the consent agenda. You're just approving, bringing it on the table so you can have further discussion.
Yes.
Wait, to piggyback, so we're, the one that was tabled, so, because we have a brand new one on our board docs. So that's why I want to make sure it's the one that was tabled, we're removing, and then we're going to bring it back up, okay?
Yes.
Trustee Smith? Yes, okay. Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Abstain?
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez.
Yes. Second, I'd like to entertain a motion to amend the consent agenda, which is the Personnel Report 5.02.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the amendments that are listed on our personnel report as of today.
Motion made by Trustee Gomez. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Trustee Gibson King. Any discussions?
Trustee Rodriguez, I want to just bring up again about the items that I previously stated, Doc 3193, 3189, 3187, and 3188, with the higher dates of prior to today. Are those, did they already begin working, or is that wrong in the date, and their higher date should actually be 1/9, or, yeah?
I'd like to, because I did address that to the superintendent, so I'd like for him to answer.
I hope I'm answering your question, but I know that in prior board meetings, our students needed help with after-school tutoring or some type of help, so the board approved that in those situations, teachers or teacher aides could start working with those students immediately and then get board approval later. Now, we did approve this for our last meeting. I believe they have started because we have a timeline to meet the needs of those students, and we had been given permission to allow them to start, and then that we would approve them at a later date.
Superintendent Abrego, you said for teachers and teachers' aides, we have two other positions that are on there that are not considered teacher or teacher aide. Did they start on the date prior to today?
Can you tell me which items you're speaking of?
Sure, 3193, and that's the principal's clerk, 2, and then 3189, CARES Act activity coordinator.
Because the CARES activity coordinator is in our building, that individual has started. The clerk at Lincoln, I'm not sure.
I think we previously discussed that they should not be started until anything is approved. Procedurally, we keep going back and forth from items. I know Dr. Mitchell's a really great guy at making sure procedurally we're doing things correctly. If we could just make sure that if something's not approved for whatever reason, they could not start until we're supposed to. And also, if our superintendent could know exactly when people start, that'd be great also. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussions or questions?
My only question is, I just need a little bit of understanding, and maybe the audience does too, regarding this personnel report.
I'm sorry. Trustee Smith, can you give me 1 second? I didn't open it up to the public with regards to this.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
So, no, it's my fault, because I should have done that first before I made the board speak. At this time, I want to open up the consent agenda to the public. If there is any questions or any comments in regards to item number 5, which is the consent agenda, please you have a right to speak now.
It said that you would explain the consent agenda to,
Supposed to go to the mic. I just want to make sure that you get heard as a public, so he should have probably told you.
at the last meeting, Gilda Orange, 3909 Evergreen. You said you would explain that to the public so that they would know why you're opening up to the public. So I'm waiting for the explanation.
Okay, so are you talking about as far as opening up? Yeah, the consent agenda was part of was something that was discussed with all the board members. We decided what items we want in the consent agenda so that, and these are items that we know are business items, that we know, like fundraisers, we don't have to put it on the regular agenda item. Instead, we would consolidate these items, so it becomes a consent agenda, so it'll just be one vote. So this is something that we've been doing for a while now. I hope that answers your question. Yes, ma'am.
My question is, with the exception of the changes that were made to the personnel report, were there any other additions or deletions to any of the other items in the consent agenda?
No.
But there was. From last week,
For the consent agenda.
right, she asked if there was any additions or changes from last week's consent agenda to the one today. There has been.
No, any other additional?
Oh, the press reference. My apologies.
Okay. And I think we have a motion, a second, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so, and we did the discussions. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
I just need a little bit of understanding.
It's been a while since the motion was made, so I will, if the president allows, I'll give a little explanation, just so
Sure.
they're all clear what actually is being voted on now. This is to amend the consent agenda.
Okay.
And it's been explained that there's been one change, and the change has been to the personnel report. So the vote you're making now is to amend the consent agenda to reflect the change to the personnel report.
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Abstain because of the process that was for one of the doc items.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. And third part, to my understanding, speaking with Mr. Harris, I'd like to entertain a motion of the consent agenda as amended.
Mr. President, I'd like to approve the consent agenda as amended.
A motion made by Trustee Gomez,
And I'll second it too.
second made by Trustee Gibson King. Let me open it up to the public, I'm sorry. Is there any questions or comments with regards to the motion made of the consent agenda as amended? Okay, hear none. Any discussions from the board? Hear none. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Abstain.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Abstention for the same reason as previous.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. Now we're into new business. 6.01, approval of board calendar. Is there any comments or questions from the audience with regards to the board calendar? Hear none, I'd like to open it up for,
Do you have one?
I'm sorry? Yes, ma'am.
Will there be printed copies for the calendar to the community, or you gotta go on the website?
We got it on the website, but if you would like a copy, I'm pretty sure we can get you one. Yep. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Talk about the calendar, we don't have.
Can I help you with that?
Yes.
This is a draft, and it's a draft for our board members, and once they get it organized and approved, then we can give it to everyone. But right now, I don't know if you can see the agenda I have. We have items in yellow because those are meetings that we're not sure. We may be on vacation if they want to move forward or backward. So once they finalize it, then we can, share it with all the public.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the board calendar for 2023?
Mr. President, I'd like to move to approve item number 6.01.
Okay. Motion made by Trustee Gomez. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second's made by Trustee Gibson King. Is there any discussion with regards to the calendar? Hear none. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez Orange,
Yes.
Trustee Gibson King,
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez.
Yes. Item 6.02, approval to accept the high ability grant. Dr. Abrego.
Yes, this is a good thing. It's a $35,706 dollars that was going to be awarded to our school. It's a high ability grant for our teachers and our students, and basically this money will be used to help them. It'll provide professional development for our teachers when they're working with these students, and also for the students, it's going to give them additional help. They're going to be identified, and they're going to receive additional help from a social worker with their social emotional learning as well as with their academics.
Okay.
So it is a very good grant for our district, and we're in year 2 of receiving this.
Any comments or questions from the audience? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to open this up as a motion. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion made by Trustee Gibson King,
Second,
second by Trustee Gomez. Any discussions?
Mr. President.
Trustee Gomez.
This grant, Dr. Abrego, this is for elementary only?
No, it's K-12, all students.
I'm asking only because the letter that came from the IDOE is only directed, well, it has the wrong superintendent on there, and it's also directed to the elementary director. So just as a point of clarification, this is for K through 12.
K through 12,
Thank you.
yes.
Appreciate it.
Any other discussions by the board? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez Orange,
Yes.
Trustee Gibson King,
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez.
Yes. 6.03, approval of collection bargaining agreement, paraprofessionals. Dr. Abrego.
Yes, this is the collective bargaining agreement, and it basically stayed pretty much the same. I do believe that they had a one-time increase of $700 stipend. So basically, it remained the same. They received a small percentage increase, and I believe our HR department, Dr. Mitchell, was instrumental in helping with that.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the audience? Hear none? Is there a motion from the board?
Mr. President, I'd like to move for approval of 6.03.
Trustee Gomez makes a motion,
Second.
second by Trustee Smith. Any discussions?
Mr. President.
Trustee Gomez.
Just for clarification, the contract is through June 30th, 2024, is that correct?
I say June 20.
I believe it's December 31st, 2024.
Okay,
That's correct.
okay, sorry. Because under the MOU, it says that regarding the COVID-19 situation, that exists only through May 26, 2023. Why wouldn't we extend that for the life of this contract?
I'll have Dr. Mitchell help us with that.
As he's walking to the podium, I'd like to address that we have Attorney Cantrell as the new attorney for the Labor's Union, or for the School Board for Labor Relations.
And also a few words about Dr. Cantrell, Mr. Cantrell, and also another individual that is going to be in your district, welcoming you both, okay?
Okay, and in regards to the COVID language, right now, we know that the CDC's guidance have been very loose, and so what we decided to do to make sure that we are staying in line with what the CDC is saying about COVID, we put that clause in there and made it retroactive to August. There's been, although COVID, we don't hear very much about COVID anymore, but it's still persistent, and we just want to make sure that we put some type of protections in there for our paraprofessionals. We did the same thing in the other CBAs, where we extended that until June of 2023. We know that pretty much that COVID language for the nation pretty much went away about, roughly about a year ago, where they stopped having these mandates about what you have to do. But the CDC kept on their website that there are still some precautions. And because those precautions were there, we felt that we needed to put something in place to ensure the health and wellness of the people in our district, to make sure they're not adversely penalized for illness that they have no control over whether or not they contract.
So is the May 26th date, why that date in particular?
What we're trying to do is just keep in line with what the CDC is saying about the whole COVID piece. Like I said, although they've lifted most of that across this nation, and then the state of Indiana, they pretty much lifted it as soon as it was put in place. We just want to make sure that we are cognizant and that we're being, that we are, what's the word? Well, just show that we care about our people, right? It's very difficult to say that you care about somebody when you have adverse policies against those, and against that same population. And we just want to make sure that they know that we understand and that we're empathetic when they do contract an illness that they have no control over whether or not they get it.
I think it's also the end of the school year, too.
Yeah, and that definitely aligns with the end of the teachers being in place. But again, it's really aligned with what the CDC is saying from a national perspective.
Mr. President, I believe you had the floor. The question I have as a follow-up is then, since this is a fluid situation, then why wouldn't we just go to the end of the life of the contract?
Because it is a fluid situation. And of course, we don't want to go too far out and then have to bring it back. So it's easier to put it in and extend it than it is to put it in and try to take it away. Again, this is a contract with this bargaining unit, and we just want to make sure that we are not only protecting the best interests of the district, but also protecting the best interests of those that we represent.
So my final question would be then, should, think of another question now. So May 27th, somebody basically is out of luck, 2023. At what point in time, or what would the process be to extend this? Should something happen to someone May 27th or?
Well, the process to extend any piece of a collective bargaining unit is to bring that unit back and then to do a MOU with that unit, a memorandum of understanding, and we can extend forward with that. That's something that's very common, and so that's where you'll see different amendments to collective bargaining agreements.
Great, thank you.
Mr. President, if I can add to that, just for future reference,
Attorney
items that are like that, they're referred to as it's subject to a reopener, and that's if you don't know what what the future may hold, you have an understanding between the parties that, hey, before this expires, May 26th of '23, we may be requesting a reopener, go back to the table and discuss this a little bit further. So, that's all.
All right, is there any discussions? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Yes.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. 6.04, approval of American Rescue and Compliance Coordinator. Dr. Abrego.
Yes, this is a position that is needed because we have an individual who will be retiring from the district, from the special education department. Therefore, the special education director wants to take a proactive measure so we can have sustained leadership. In other words, when the individual retires, we have someone who is prepared and ready to take on the position.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the audience? Hear none. Is there a motion from the board?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve 6.04.
Trustee Gomez?
I'm sorry, 6.04.
Trustee Gomez makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Trustee Smith. Is there any discussions?
Mr. President,
Trustee Gomez.
just for clarification, then these are two new positions, correct?
Dr. Brady, you want to answer?
Yes, they are. And if you need, I have Ms. Tammy Poe here that can elaborate if needed.
Yes,
If you don't
I'm
mind,
assuming,
please.
okay.
Let's have an executive session about this.
Yes, these are two new positions. We have Ms. Perez, who will be retiring. We have a retirement date. We have grants. These are a few grants. These are new grants as the CARES grants with title. These are the special ed grants. And so they'll be learning all of the positions. We're going to cross-train and get ready for the retirement. And so we're hoping that the training will help so that we don't have any issues and have to worry about bringing back people to do the job.
And I guess my question would be, these duties are not new duties, correct? Somebody's been performing these duties prior to,
Actually, some of them are new duties because of the new grants, yes.
which would those be?
The American Rescues.
I'm sorry, which duties?
The duty of the American Rescues grant.
Just that.
And there are the many duties that a lot of us have absorbed. So those are the older duties, but yes, the American Rescues grants are the new duties.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions while Ms. Poe is at the podium? All right, hearing none. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes,
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Yes.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. 6.05, approval of transportation maintenance manager job. Dr. Abrego.
Yes, this is a position that is needed because we need a little bit of help in the transportation department. The director does, so this would be a transportation maintenance person that would work with the transportation director and help them with the overall maintenance of the department with repairs and basically keeping records, keeping data, and developing a plan to improve our department. I believe the funds are available, so that we wanted to exhaust those funds and use them. This would be part of the operations budget.
Any comments or questions from the audience? Okay, hear none. Is there a motion from the board?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve 6.05.
Motion made by Trustee Gomez. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Trustee Smith. Any discussions?
Trustee Rodriguez?
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
In regards to 6.05, I think we discussed how this particular job will be taken care of for the current. And I think when it comes to the future, we will have to exhaust from different budgets, if I'm correct in remembering that. With that, I think I had previously asked to have an organizational chart of all the departments. So as the board, we know exactly what's within those budgets. So if we're going to make brand-new positions, we have to know that we're able to sustain them, the longevity of the position. So my suggestion is that at least we have I think, a meeting for a retreat. I would like to make sure that we have all these positions put within the budget per department so that we could know exactly what we have and how much. I just don't want to have made-up positions to cover or help give somebody a job or anything. At least we know what specifically it's supposed to be moving forward. And I ask that as soon as possible, because I'm not sure what will move forward past today.
Okay. Any other discussions?
Mr. President,
Trustee Gomez?
I agree with Trustee Hernandez Orange, and I would go back to a previous question. This is a new position, again, that we're creating. I guess I fall back to who was doing this position before? Why the need for a new position?
And I'll have Dr. Mitchell help us with that.
I have to agree with Trustee Hernandez and Mr. Gomez.
Yes.
There's not enough information here warranting that this job is description.
All right, with this position, I know that you all are aware that when Mr. Robert Garcia left, he was the Director of Transportation. When he left in that position, that person that was serving as the Manager of Transportation stepped into the Director position. That manager position that she was in was never filled. However, instead of creating two positions, we altered the manager's position to also to take care of not only the bus maintenance part of it, but also help out with the administrative piece as well as driving. So that particular position that was created is actually made up of two other positions that would have had to be created. And the person that we're looking for that particular position will have the skill set to not only drive a bus, but also be able to fix a bus, as well as know the transportation system well enough that if the current director was to be absent, that operations wouldn't stop.
And so the one or two other positions that have been absorbed into this new one, are we eliminating those?
Yes, those positions would indeed be eliminated because the person is still, that they would still be responsible for fixing a bus, right? But we also know that right now, in this season, actually in East Chicago, as well as in our neighboring cities, that bus drivers and transportation, is really challenging right now due to the fact that you can't find bus drivers, and the ones that's there, they're choosing to do other things outside of drive a bus. And so we always find ourselves behind an 8-ball with that. So the more people we have cross-trained in positions, we figuring that that's the best way to go to make sure that our school district does not find itself struggling just to keep operations going, to make sure that our students get to class and that they get the service that's needed for them to have a quality education.
I won't deny that, but I'm just asking more specifically. We do have line items for those other positions. Is the intent to eliminate those line items?
Well, the intent would be, well, we can eliminate the position if that's the will of the board. We can eliminate the position for the maintenance piece. The bus driver positions, those are positions that are continuously hired just for the turnover that's there. So yes, if that's the will and the desire of the board, the position that for maintenance could be eliminated.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussions?
Mr. Chair, if I could just make a recommendation.
Sure,
Just so
Attorney
we don't
Harris.
lose the thought. This has come up before, and you all have had some conversation about it, and I understand everyone seems to be in agreement that an updated organizational chart would be helpful. I think in the future, when requests like this are being made, it would be helpful to each of the school board members if you have an updated departmental organizational chart, so you can see on paper what it was and what they're asking happens with it next. And then you can see positions disappear, being eliminated, and the new ones being created, and how they interact with one another. I think if you required that, I think that would help you.
Correct.
I did want to make mention, Trustee Rodriguez, if I could have the floor really quickly.
Trustee Hernandez Orange.
The fact that we are making sure that when we have transportation jobs, we're actually making them have CDLs. So kudos to, I know, our CFO and to our HR director, making sure that transportation employees have these CDLs.
I do like to also comment on the prior discussion. that I think once any positions are brought in and approved by this board, the salary schedule would have to be updated as well. So that's something that we have to do, possibly, Mr. Mitchell. If you can maybe address the salary schedule as well. Sure. And while he's coming to the board, I think the request for a position as well as a request for a line item are two separate requests. If you're requesting a line item for this particular situation, there is a form that's approved by the State Board of Accounts that allows you to remove the two positions that you're mentioning, zero that out. Those dollars that we've approved from our previous budget will then be added. So you're eliminating one line item, creating a new, so it balances out. And at the end, you're looking at whether you're requesting additional dollars for that position or not.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. About the salary schedule, I think that we really want to be very cognizant about salary schedule, because every time we change a salary schedule, you're changing the salaries, you're actually impacting everyone that's in that that pay band.
Yeah.
And so if there's so we want to make sure that there's some discussion around that, because if every time we change a position or add a position, we change the salary schedule, you're changing the salary schedule across the board. And that could create a pattern that will be very difficult to manage and can really drive you into the red really quickly, just for the simple fact that there's so many people in each of these pay bands. And if you change it all at one time, then that will create, can have an adverse effect on the general fund. And anytime that you get into impacting that general fund just by an arbitrary, just that request, and you all signing off on a request will change it for everyone. So I just say, just be very cognizant of that. However, we can give you all the information and documentation to support that position and why that position is set at that pay rate. And that may be a better way to look at each of these positions along with the organizational charts, which we're probably about 80% completed with those org charts. It's just that we're hiring 2 new people in the superintendent's cabinet that will have to have an org chart created alongside of it. I didn't want to give you a partial request of what you asked for. I wanted to give you the full piece.
Thank you.
Okay?
And again, if hopefully I didn't step my boundaries, but from our last conversation with State Board of Accounts, at any time there's an amendment to any positions, whether it's directors or any other positions, it's important for us to update and I'm not saying create, I'm saying just to update.
Yes.
So it's not affecting everybody that's on that salary schedule, but it's just affecting that particular line item.
Right.
Especially if we're removing line items and creating new ones, I'm looking at it on those perspectives.
Yes, and we will definitely make sure that we abide by all of the rules and regulations and policies of the State Board of Accounts. I think that Leela holds my feet to the fire on that, and I know Dr. Abrego does also. So we will make sure that those I's are dotted and T's are crossed whenever we find ourselves in a predicament such as you speak.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think we went through discussions. Is there an approval for item 6.05, the Transportation Maintenance Manager? Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Yes.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. Item 7, Superintendent's remarks.
Yes, Governing Board President, before I make the remarks, I'd like to welcome 2 individuals to our district. The first one, if she would please stand, we have Ms. Sochi Medina, and she is our newly Director of English Learners. I would like to welcome Ms. Medina to the School City of East Chicago administrative team. Ms. Medina is a graduate of the University of Illinois, earning a Bachelor's of Arts degree in the field of education as a Spanish teacher. She also earned a master's degree in the area of bilingual special education and Ms. Medina earned another master's degree in the field of educational administration. Ms. Medina has served as a Spanish teacher, a special education teacher, an academic counselor, a citywide bilingual coordinator in Illinois, consultant for the Division of English Language Learners, and an assistant director for English Language Learners. So, Ms. Medina, thank you for considering the School City of Chicago, and welcome to our team. We also have another individual, and before I say a little something about him, I want to say that Attorney John Cantrell grew up in East Chicago and comes from a family of educators. His father played on the state championship basketball team for Chicago, Washington, and he also served as the city's athletic director. His mother was the director of elementary education for the School City of Chicago, and both of his parents dedicated over 30 years of service to the School City of Chicago. That's his background growing up in East Chicago. Attorney John Cantrell graduated from the University of Indiana, and he has been practicing law for 23 years. Along with the longstanding criminal law private practice, John has represented a number of Northwest Indiana local governing bodies, including the Lake County Auditor, East Chicago City Clerk, East Chicago Port Authority, and Hammond Housing Authority. He also has a better half, Christine Cantrell, who graduated from the Institute of Technology, and I met his wife. She is also a graduate of Chicago Kent College, earned a degree in law. She also has a master's degree in clinical psychology and a graduate certificate in HR Foundations from DePaul University. And she has been practicing law for 8 years. They have a firm, Cantrell and Cantrell, and they currently represent the following Northwest Indiana governing bodies. They represent the City of Hammond, the Lake County Health Department, the Lake County Sheriff's Department, the Maryville Clerk Treasurer, and the Lake County Public Defender's Office. We want to welcome Attorney Cantrell to the School City of Chicago, and once again, thank you for joining our team. Thank you so much. And my final superintendent's remarks, I think everyone knows, I've been here for 6 months, so first and foremost, I want to thank the governing board for giving me the opportunity to lead the district. I also want to thank all our central office staff for helping me get through my first 6 months and for their hard work and dedication to our district. And most important, I want to thank all the certified and classified individuals who work in our district because of all their dedication, we're able to make great strides in East Chicago. And once again, to our parents, we want to say, please send your children to school every day, and we're listening to you, and with your help and support, we're going to improve all our schools. So thank you very much.
Item 8, trustee remarks. Any trustee remarks?
Trustee Rodriguez?
Trustee Hernandez Orange.
I do have trustee remark. I'm trying to make sure it pulls up. I think they logged me out. I just wanted to make mention, I know us as school board members, we're supposed to make sure that we highlight our students or former students. With that being said, I want to make sure that we highlight alumni Tiana Jackson. And she is currently playing for the University of Kansas. She was named Big 12 Player of the Week for the week of January 3rd. And she's currently ranked, I believe, 25th to go to the WNBA. So she is kicking butt and grinding, and that's a great representation of the school district. And like her tutor told me, she's also getting really great grades, so that's even more important. So I just wanted to highlight her.
Any other trustee remarks?
Mr. President,
Trustee Gomez?
as Chair of the Policy Committee, wanted to announce that on Friday, January 13th at 4 p.m., the Policy Committee, which is myself and Vice President Gibson King, will be meeting at the main branch to the East Chicago Public Library, 4 p.m. Friday, January 13th, to review a couple of policies. That concludes my remarks.
Trustee Rodriguez, I have two things I forgot to ask. I'm sorry, if I could.
Trustee Hernandez Orange?
I wanted to make sure that we receive the full contracts. I think I previously asked for them, the labor contracts. We're only receiving the portions that were changed. If we could make sure to receive all the full labor contracts, I asked that previously. And also, I would like to have, Mr. Dalton usually gives us that 2-year projection for budget. I still haven't received that, the board hasn't received that, so we can make sure that, I know we just renewed his contract, so if he could give us that information, that'd be great. And that was it.
Okay.
President, I do have.
Yep. Trustee Smith.
First, I'd like to thank all of the people that donated to the Lincoln cheerleaders uniforms. I'd like to say that we really made our goal. Thank you for your donations. I will be coming for more donations for each school whenever they need it. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that participated and gave from their heart. Thank you.
I do have just one more of a comment and an apology. To my understanding, when I took president last week, I may have misconstrued one of the trustee name as I was calling their names. And that's why now I have a sheet here with every trustee's name. When it comes to double syllables, I get a little confused and a little excited about what's going on. So I do apologize to that board member with regards to not saying your name correctly. With that said, the next date and time would be Tuesday, January 7th, which would be a regular.
Excuse me.
President, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry?
Point of order, there's item number 9, which is the public forum.
I'm sorry. I just see that, yeah. Item 9, public forum.
There's 3 people that signed up, Gilda Orange, 3909 Evergreen, to be followed by Princella Askew.
Sure. Attorney Harris, you want to give us our disclaimer?
Yes, for each of the members who are, the participants who have signed up to speak, this is an opportunity for you to participate in the public meeting. It's not a question and answer session. Please state your name. Your comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please be respectful of the board, the staff, and the audience. Thank you.
Yes.
Thought I saw a couple of names before me, Mr. Gomez. Happy New Year to everybody here. I just wanted to say that I sit on the city council and I realize that when you have the votes, the majority votes, you have the voice. And no matter what it is, those people always are the last people to say something. And they gather together because they already know they have the votes. And it's a shame, as it is on the city council, because when we're talking about people's lives and children and the things that we want to get done for the district, and we hide behind a political agenda versus the welfare of the kids. When some members think that they're hurting a family, or because they figure that if we take this away from them, then that would hurt them and make them mad, but it only makes us stronger. I hope you guys know that you are the talk of the town with that item 3190, I think it is, when you guys have flip-flopped back and forth and things have gotten out, people are wondering, what is this board doing? Don't say that you are for the kids when you actually are for yourself.
Mr. President, Princella Askew is next.
Please state your name and address.
Princella Askew, 2705 East Guadalupe Circle. President Rodriguez, did you say the 9th for the next meeting? Because it's the 17th on here.
Yeah, I haven't got that far yet. I was going to announce it as soon as.
Okay. I'd like to wish all of you a Happy New Year. It really warms my heart to see people in the audience instead of 3. I'm praying and for this board to be a board that would get along with each other, no matter whatever the problem you might have as an individual person, because it really, like Ms. Orange said, it's a reflection on the community. I've been coming to school board meetings for over 4 decades or more, and last board meeting just did not set with me at all. And I'm just continue to pray for each and individually and collectively that we will be a board to get along, and it'll be like the 4th of July, it'll be coming up where we all doing such a great job, like the other cities. So get on your knees sometimes and pray about whatever the problem might be with you, because it helps. I believe in prayer, and I'm praying for this board. Thank you all.
Mr. President, the final speaker is Helen Steinbeck.
I don't need my time, thank you.
Is there anyone else?
That's it.
Okay, so the next date and time for the next meeting would be Tuesday, January 17th, 2023. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Mr. President, a motion to adjourn.
Trustee Gomez makes a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Yes, I'll second it.
Trustee Gibson King, second. This meeting's adjourned.
Roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith? Yes. Trustee Hernandez Orange?
Yes.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.